Hello and welcome to episode 281 of Ask MandRproductions. If you have a question or topic for next week's episode, leave it in the comments section below. Hit like while you're there. This week we're going to be talking about the UCS Venator, 10th anniversary of Rebels, the gunship, and more. But first, I just want to address, I got a bunch of comments on last week's episode about the general editing and some of the mistakes that were being made, like putting the 2014 MTT where the 2007 MTT is. And it should be pretty obvious at this point that I don't edit all of my videos anymore, and it basically just falls on me for not being hands-on enough with the editing, or more so the review of the editing process. So in the future, I'm going to be a lot more hands-on with like making sure I go through everything and making sure that it's correct, because you know, having the checks there just need to be in place because I can't do everything at this point on my channel. So I have hired someone else to edit some of my videos, and I just need to check them more often because like there was some errors in other videos recently, and ultimately it falls on me for not double checking the work, or maybe just hiring another person to double check the work for me that would know enough. So yeah, obviously when you go to hire someone to edit Lego videos and some of the specific stuff that I talk about, some people just won't know everything, and I can't assume that someone would know everything that I know because I've been doing it for so long. So yeah, I just got to be better there. I used to edit all of these completely myself, like maybe the first 250 episodes or so, I maybe edited 240 of them or something, and obviously I've basically reached a point where I want to do more with my channel and other channels. So I've been trying to bring on people to help lower my day-to-day workload on some of the stuff, like editing a video like this, which would take me all day to produce the entire thing. Instead, I can sit down, pick the questions, record the thing, and then hand it off to someone else to edit it for a few hours, and that saves me a few hours to work on a different project. And so that's the goal with that sort of thing, but obviously it's going to have its hiccups as I get better at it. Thank you for listening to my TED Talk. Next one isn't really a question that anyone asked. It's just a general topic that I know people want to know about because it is officially September, which means we are less than a month away from the release day of the UCS Venator, a Lego set that many of us have waited a long time for. Someone posted on Instagram recently that I talked about this over 2,000 days ago in one of those early episodes of Ask MandRproductions. In this video, there will be no Star Wars The Last Jedi spoilers. I have seen the movie. It was really, really good. UCS clone sets. Ha! UCS clone sets, like the Venator or minifig scale Republic Gunship. I think the Venator is the most realistic one of those. I think the Venator could be like a $300, $350 set, and would couldn't have been more wrong. The most realistic one of the two options there. However, I don't know if either of those will actually ever happen. Well, they both actually will happen, and in less than a month you'll be able to buy a UCS Venator. Now the big question is, when will we see leaks and pictures of the UCS Venator? We've had both minifigures leak. The Clone Wars Admiral Yularen is pretty good, the Captain Rex is pretty abysmal, but the Venator itself is what many people are definitely on the edge of their seat for. And I took a look back to last year for the UCS Razor Crest because I expected it to be a very similar cycle. It didn't leak until about September 20th, so it seems like it will not be until the second half of September when we finally see the UCS Venator. You can wake me up when September ends. The Stankinator says, given the recent Hogwarts Castle display set, do you think Lego will make a similar version of the Jedi Temple? Would you want a mini-scale diorama-style Jedi Temple? Absolutely. I would love a set like that. I was actually talking to someone at the Lego store on September 1st release day about this, and it seems entirely unlikely to me that Lego will make a Jedi Temple in the realm of what I did a review on from Republic Bricks, where it's like $700-800 if Lego were to release something like that, and it's just this massive huge thing with a minifig fleshed out interior. That's probably just never going to happen. But the micro scale has always probably been the way this will end up happening, and that Hogwarts Castle to me is a really good proof of concept that it could happen for Lego Star Wars. But it's also worth noting that Harry Potter in the last 3 or 4 years has been the theme, it seems, to go outside of the box, do something random once, and then never do it again, and then no other theme ever does it again. I think the minifig statues are a good example of that. Maybe not anymore because they did the pirate and the classic Lego minifig guy, but we haven't seen Star Wars do Farm Boy Luke and Princess Leia, which I just assumed was going to happen the year after they came out with the Harry Potter ones, and it's been like 3 years, and they still haven't done any more Star Wars or Harry Potter ones. I think another good random example is the Hogwarts Icon set, where it's just a set with a bunch of things in it that's really expensive. And they could totally do lightsabers and holocrons and temple guard masks. I don't know, you name it, it could go in a random set like that, and they haven't done anything like that for Star Wars. So my point is, Harry Potter just seems to do random outside the box things, and it doesn't always translate. But if anything was ever going to translate, I think this is the most likely because it is the most sensible for a Jedi Temple to be done in a micro scale. I don't think it would fit within the diorama series necessarily, more of an architecture-esque set, and I would just call it at that point. I wouldn't even try to throw it into a subcategory if I was Lego Star Wars. I would just release it as an 18+ set, just like that Harry Potter Hogwarts Castle and Grounds set was. I think the obvious year for this would be 2025 for the Revenge of the Sith anniversary. I know it's not the only movie it's ever featured in, but man, would it be cool to see a bunch of micro 501st troopers walking up the steps. They would never do that, but just like the temple, it would be dope. Anyway, next question from Jogburn says, how hard/expensive do you think it would be to color swap the gunship? I think color swapping in general is pretty easy to do. The price on it is definitely going to vary depending on which parts you're going to need, but this doesn't seem like it should be too difficult. Most of the gunship parts for a regular gunship, they're just white, dark red, and a dash of lime green. That all should be pretty accessible. HP Bricks over on Instagram has already done a few different color swaps. I reached out to him to see if I could get a parts list or some instructions anywhere for you guys, but he hasn't responded to me as of now. But anyway, the gunship looks really cool in the normal color scheme. Obviously, it still has the stud shooters on the side, the single door that it shouldn't have, and kind of the slightly compressed look, but the color scheme is there. They obviously were just going for a color swap here, not trying to like make the build better in any other way. But I'll probably end up doing a video trying out a few of these for myself because the Plos Bros one I think looks especially cool. That's basically just taking the dark red from the other one and switching it out to dark blue, and that should hopefully be pretty cheap and easy to do, although I think dark blue might be a little bit more difficult than dark red given there's a ton of dark red on the Coruscant Guard gunship already. But I think at the very high end you're looking at about $250 to $300 all in for the project. Obviously the Coruscant Guard gunship is going to cost you $140 just up front, and any additional parts will obviously be extra plus shipping. There are people that have their own parts collection that can definitely pull from that, and that will help out, but I would say the very high end would be $300, which is still pretty expensive. Maybe go and sell the extra figures from your Coruscant Guard gunship, recoup some of that cost. You can help reduce things a little bit by doing small things like that. Make sure you scan your instruction manuals for your extra 15 cents, you know, the little things. Anyway, in the next couple of months when I get around to it, I will definitely be doing a video on this because I really want to do it myself. Next question from MandRproductions. He says, do you think that LEGO are putting desirable ships like the TIE Interceptor and E-Wing in dual packs with ships that might not sell very well by themselves to drive up the price? So we got the TIE Interceptor, the E-Wing back there, and yeah, so the TIE Interceptor is tied to the Fang Fighter, and the E-Wing is tied with Shin Hades Starfighter. It's an interesting way to look at what they're doing. I didn't really think of it as like LEGO is trying to make sure the other thing sells. I look at it as a complete all-in-one play experience, plus you just get two ships for one price. It's just easier in a lot of ways. It's probably easier for their production to not have to make two different sets and just make one SKU and send it to a store or whatever. It probably helps their sales numbers be a little bit higher. They're making more profit because you're gonna buy two ships instead of maybe just the one. So yeah, they're probably doing it because it makes them more money. They're probably doing it because it's a better play experience for kids to just get both in one. But I don't necessarily think of it as like they're throwing in a crappy set with a better set so that the crappy set sells good, because I don't look at any of the, I guess, the big three recent examples being the TIE Interceptor and Fang Fighter. I think both those builds are nice. I think the E-Wing and Shin Hades Starfighter are both very nice, and especially in that case, the E-Wing and Shin Hades, like, which of those are crappy or like not predominantly featured in Ahsoka already? Neither. And so I don't necessarily think that. And then finally, the 2016 A-Wing and Darth Vader's TIE Fighter, like both of those sets would perfectly stand on their own, but they just made them in one set because it's a better experience. Now, I do think there is one major downside to these 2-in-1 sets that not a lot of people consider. So like with the E-Wing set, we get 5 minifigures, and in my review, I sit there and I'm like, yeah, this is pretty good. 5 minifigs in one $110 set. That's better than the Coruscant Guard gunship, $140. You still get 5 minifigs. So the way you're framing it in your head is really going to play on how you feel about it. But the $110 price point, getting 5 minifigs is pretty good for current LEGO Star Wars, especially when your $140 Coruscant Guard gunship only gets 5 as well. But imagine if they split up Shin Hades Starfighter and the E-Wing into 2 smaller sets that were $50 and $60 each. Well, most $50 to $60 LEGO Star Wars sets these days get 3 or 4 minifigs. So for buying both separately, instead of getting 5 minifigs, you would get 6 to 8 minifigs. So it is also, in a way, kind of slimming down the amount of minifigs you get, you know, versus if they had released them separately. So just another interesting way to look at it. If there was a negative side to it, I think that is the most negative side to these 2-in-1 packs. Otherwise, I think they're great to have 2 ships in one set for one price. As always though, more minifigs would be nicer. Next question from Aaron says, do you think LEGO will remake the UCS Millennium Falcon in 2027? What do you think they can improve upon in terms of design and detail? So if 2027 comes along and LEGO decides it's been long enough, the 2017 UCS Falcon just needs a refreshing. They seem to have implied that the UCS Falcon should be going nowhere and that it should always be on shelves so that anyone can buy that sort of thing. Although I think that's a bit too hopeful. Like at some point you have to retire it and not sell it for a little bit, right? You can't just always sell that, but maybe they will, I don't know. Anyway, I do wish this would have happened sooner, or I think this year would have been ideal given what I'm gonna throw out there for a UCS Millennium Falcon in 2027. But 2027 is not a bad year because that is the next 10-year gap on the UCS Falcon. Obviously, first one 2007, then 2017, 2027 would be a good year for a refresher. But I find it shocking that they have not updated the box art, given that they say they want to keep this set out forever. Even if they did nothing to the rest of the set at all, updating the box art to be the all-black box art design would be the move, because then it matches the entire rest of your product category that are the 18+ LEGO Star Wars sets. I can't comprehend how it's been 3 years and they haven't updated the UCS Millennium Falcon box art. They have updated other box arts for much less reason in the past. I don't know why the UCS Falcon has not gotten that treatment, given it's like one of their greatest achievements ever. Like it just, and it's such an easy thing to do. But that's just like the mega LEGO Star Wars fan in me being like really nitpicky about how they like present the product, but like ultimately they spend tons of money and pay people to do that, so why is it not just done? Now the other thing I would do is change out the minifigs. I would completely wipe the slate. Right now it's kind of like an episode 5 Millennium Falcon mixed with a episode 7 Millennium Falcon. So you got those sequel characters in there, you got the extra little builds in there that you can swap out to make it more of the sequel Millennium Falcon. You just axe the whole sequel side of it too. That's not even part of the conversation anymore. Nobody wants that crap. It was really, really good. I mean, I'm sure there's a few people out there really, really good, but you know, you gotta let it go. That was part of the original set. You can move on from that and do something different now. But ultimately, if they were gonna refresh the UCS Falcon, I would almost just be like, leave it the same, just take out the sequel stuff, introduce some new, different original trilogy versions of characters and call it good. Like, you don't even have to mess it up, I guess. Not that they could mess up a UCS Falcon probably, but like, I don't know. It's already super detailed, one of the best looking LEGO Star Wars sets ever. You don't have to do anything, but I know more people would want more interior, but I don't think they can really do that because they need a lot of structural support, so I wouldn't expect anything like that. But I think this is something that very likely could happen in a few years, and I really hope it does. I hope we're speaking it into existence now if it wasn't something they were already thinking of, although I can't imagine they wouldn't already be thinking of something like this. It's just super common sense to me. Anyway, great question. Very happy to talk about that. Next one from Mauricio Chavez. He says, an auction house that usually deals with real movie props actually had one of the George Lucas minifigs up for auction not too long ago, and it was estimated to go for $8,000 to $16,000. And so I pulled up the listing to find out how much it went for, and it went for $10,000. That's cool. And then this other minifig that probably nobody knows about is the Han Shot First Greedo minifigure. I still don't fully comprehend where this came from, but this one went for about $3,000. It's a pretty cool looking minifigure, and it says that it was made exclusively for the LEGO design team in Denmark. I honestly maybe should have bought this. I don't know if I would want to spend $3,000 on this. The problem with this, like I said with George Lucas, I think last week, is like if someone had a pad printer and wanted to just reprint that, they could. And then like I could never know the difference because there's no official packaging to go with it, which is much harder, if not impossible, to replicate depending on what the type of packaging is. So ultimately something like that for $3,000 just blows my mind. Now the other thing I saw on this prop auction store, and I just want to put it out there, they sold a Lego Rebel Snowspeeder proof sheet. If you are the person that won this and wants to make a couple $100 and sell it to me, please hit me up. If you don't want to sell it, I get it. But man, this thing is so cool. I actually have one of the Droid Tri-Fighter from 2005, and that's a cool prop sheet to have, but dude, that one would be even cooler. They also sold a Mos Eisley one and a TIE Fighter Y-Wing one, but those ones aren't as cool to me as the Snowspeeder one, because the Snowspeeder is just one of my favorite sets. So yeah, that place seems to sell some cool stuff from time to time. Maybe I need to keep an eye on there more, but thank you for the comment. Next one from Nate Doggy says, what minifigures do you think are expensive for no good reason? the George Lucas and Han Shot first Greedo. Next question from Wes says, would you make reviews of fixes or upgrades to sets, like fixing the gunship to have the double doors? I should totally do more modification videos for LEGO Star Wars sets. It's one of those things, I think I did a video like way back in 2009 or 10 of like fixes or mods to my ATTE, because I made a bunch of mods to my 2008 ATTE back in the day. But modern day, there's a lot more mods to make, I think, with some of these sets, especially the new gunship could totally use it. I think I did a video last year about the ATT, and when I approach like fixing a LEGO Star Wars set, I also fix like other random things like minifigures, so it wouldn't necessarily just be me fixing the gunship, it would be me fixing the gunship, its minifigs, its box art. The box art's actually good on that one. But you know, making everything right, or the way that it should be according to the source material, that sort of thing. So I think with the ATT last year, I basically just did a commentary video. I didn't like physically do anything. There was a video I was playing around with doing a few years ago, like fixing 10 LEGO Star Wars sets in one video, and that was when like the General Grievous Starfighter was out, and so I had like the Republic Bricks Crab Droid, and I was going to put the Crab Droid in that set, and I had a Clone Army Customs Phase 2 Cody, and I was going to put the Phase 2 Cody in that set, and then it would be fixed. That sort of concept is the video that I was going to go with. Maybe I could do a video called like fixing the LEGO Star Wars Summer 2023 wave or something. Like maybe that's the approach that I would take with it. I don't know. That's the type of video that's like bottom of my list, because there's so much else going on. I need to hire another person to help me get more things done in the day, you know. But if I can, I would love to do something like that, because it is something that I've like dabbled with over the years, just not like fully entrenched myself with. Next question from Pascal says, do you agree with the sentiment that no one hates Star Wars as much as Star Wars fans? This is clearly true, as it should be. Star Wars and LEGO Star Wars, obviously I will lump into this because that gets the same kind of comment every once in a while. The people that love it the most are the only people that could possibly possess the ability to dislike something about it so much that you would be like, well, why do you hate that? I'm like, because I loved this other version of it, or I loved how good it was, or how great it could be. But this new version of it, I don't happen to have anything handy here that I particularly dislike, but like this 212 Trooper is abysmal, right? Like, and
I hate that. I really wake up every...
No, I'm not kidding. Every time I see it, I'm reminded of how awful it is and how great it could have been, especially on those paper packs where they put a picture of how good the helmet was and how bad the helmet is, you know? And it's like, that's a crazy difference to see. And the same absolutely goes for the Star Wars movie franchise, where like, I love Star Wars, many other people loved Star Wars, and now many of the people that you see so outspoken, and not that I agree with everything, like I watched this guy Robot Head, and he's like, Ahsoka sucks, it's the worst thing ever, and I'm like, nah, you know, I was with you on some other things, but not this one. But like ultimately, at the end of the day, I certainly don't expect to agree with everything someone I watch says about the thing I like or dislike in some areas, and I certainly wouldn't expect everyone that watches me to agree with everything I have to say about LEGO Star Wars. Like, just obviously it would be insane that you and I would agree with every single thing that you and I have to say. I think the best frame of mind you can have on something like this, both as like fans and as the producer of the thing that people are fans of, is what Linus has from LTT. Basically, they've had a lot of drama lately, and they've been trying to reform some of the way that they do things, and in one of the videos he says this:
thank you for being willing to criticize something that you love in order to make it better.
They obviously must love that thing, because other than like maybe a sports fandom, how else could you feel so passionately against something that you don't love, right? Like, I hate the Yankees because I love the Red Sox, but I don't hate certain aspects of LEGO Star Wars because I love Ninjago. I dislike them because they're bad and other things are good. I just wish that LEGO Star Wars and the people behind the Star Wars franchise, and maybe they do have this mindset, but it just definitely doesn't show in my opinion, but I wish they would adopt the LTT mindset, because I think it goes a long way. Like, hearing him say something like that, like, I was not too into the drama, but I like listened to the video and I was like, oh yeah, that's a pretty banging quote. I like that, Linus. Anyway, yeah, obviously no one hates Star Wars and LEGO Star Wars as much as LEGO Star Wars and Star Wars fans, because they love it the most. The people that love it the most also will inherently hate it the most, because they get so wrapped up about the things they like. When something comes along that they don't like, they want to see it be like the things they like, and so they obviously talk about that. And so I will continue, much like many people in the Star Wars realm, like Star Wars Theory and Robot Head, will continue to criticize the things that they like, because they want to see them be better. Just silly stuff. Next one from Mr. Fizak, and just kind of a PSA because I've gotten a lot of people telling me about this. Walmart has the ATTE for $112 at his local store. That should apply to basically every Walmart in America because this is not a clearance, it is rollback, which means it, I think, should apply across the board and obviously also online. So I think if you see the like product button on this video, you can check out the ATT, I think, on Target.com, and that's a new thing that YouTube has added as well. So if you see other YouTubers using that, basically we get commission, which I think is great. I think YouTube's doing a lot of good stuff there. So yeah, you can see the ATT is now $112, which is a pretty dang good deal if you've been holding out for one, and it's part of why I think I've said wait on the gunship a year if you can. Mega says, do you think there's any chance we get sets next year for the 10th anniversary of Rebels? Probably not. I'm just leaning towards no. I mean, none of the first half year rumors have any Star Wars Rebel sets. You know, last year for Clone Wars, it was 20 years, and they did a bunch of Clone Wars sets in the first half of the year. So, you know, it's obviously possible there's stuff in the second half of the year, but I'm leaning towards no. I'm just leaning towards no. No particular reason why, other than that there's nothing in the first half of the year, but there are like episode 1 sets in the first half of the year, and it's an episode 1 anniversary year, so they might just be leaning harder to that. Plus, they already have the Ahsoka show, so they might just be like, yeah, we can release Ahsoka sets and call it good, and we don't have to do like an anniversary thing. So yeah, I'm leaning towards nothing from Rebels specifically, but obviously we'll get stuff from Ahsoka, I hope, because we really need Thrawn. Anyway, if you enjoyed the video, please hit like it. If you have a question for next episode, leave it down in the comment section below. Oh, I didn't even talk about my background. It's almost done. We just gotta do the last shelf over there, but you know, we're getting there on the house display room, which eventually I won't film too much in here once the office space is ready, but I'm pretty happy with this. And I can even change the colors. Look, now it's all red, and now we can change it to blue, and oh, there we go. We can do like so many different things with this. So I hope it makes the videos cooler in some way. Like when I'm doing reviews, I can just like make background colors different colors and do weird things like that, just depending on what the ship is. Maybe I want it to be pink because I'm reviewing a Lego Friends set. I don't know, I just feel like there's a lot of potential here. I've kind of gotten into the lights here lately. They look really dope. I know I haven't been doing a lot with the house since I moved in, but this is finally like some real progress being made on like something nice. And this will ideally keep everything that I put in there dust free, as I'm going to be putting weather stripping in all of these so that it, you know, keeps all of the dust out that I can. And then everything in this entire room eventually will be shelves and display stuff, and it should come together very nicely eventually. I just need to find some like bigger shelves that can fit things like Star Destroyers and Millennium Falcons and stuff, because obviously they are not going to fit in those relatively tiny things. So anyway, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next week. Peace out.